Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but still falling behind? Maybe it's not your effort that's lacking. Maybe it's your entire way of learning. Look around you. Really look. Do you feel completely safe in this so-called calm? Maybe you think everything's under control. Maybe you believe your life is steadily following the plan you set. But deep down, something doesn't feel right, does it? There's a background noise in your mind, a quiet but persistent whisper. You're missing something important. You try to ignore it because admitting it would mean confronting an uncomfortable truth. Maybe, just maybe, you're falling behind. Let me be brutally honest. It doesn't matter how much you've mastered your field. It doesn't matter how hard you work to become the best at one single thing. The reality is harsh. Sooner or later, someone will replace you. Not because they're better, but because they know something you don't. Because they connect ideas you can't even imagine. We live in a new era, one that no longer belongs to experts locked in their narrow specialties. Today, the world rewards those who know how to move across disciplines, those who can think broadly and play on multiple intellectual chessboards at once. Take a moment and think. What did Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, Marie Curie, and Steve Jobs have in common? Your first thought might be, they were geniuses. But that's not the real answer. Genius wasn't their superpower. Versatility was. They refused to be boxed in by a single title. They crossed boundaries, explored wildly, and weren't afraid to be misunderstood. And now, here you are, sitting comfortably within your niche, believing that going deeper into one thing will make you stand out. But the deeper you go into a single tunnel, the less you see the vast universe surrounding it. Do you want to know what the real danger is? You're living in a world that doesn't reward specialization anymore. It rewards connection. While you're spending years perfecting one skill, others are mastering 10 different ones and discovering the invisible threads that tie them together. They're building what you can't even begin to imagine because they possess a broader map, a global vision of knowledge. Right now, as you watch this, you might be on the edge of becoming irrelevant without even knowing it. Not because you're not good enough, but because you still cling to the old myth that knowing one thing deeply is enough. Let me ask you, when was the last time you dared to learn something completely outside your comfort zone? Can't remember? That's not a coincidence. It's because you've unknowingly accepted a hidden limit, one the world quietly imposed on you. And that, not lack of talent, not lack of intelligence, is your real enemy. Comfort is the most dangerous prison because it's voluntary. It convinces you that you're growing when you've actually been stuck in the same place for years. Now look at the people you admire most. Really study them. They didn't succeed because they were experts. They succeeded because they dared to connect the unconnectable. They mixed disciplines, broke boundaries, and created what others couldn't even see. So here's the hard question. Are you ready to accept this uncomfortable truth? Or would you rather keep pretending everything is fine? If you're still here, if you've decided to stay, then get ready, because this path isn't easy, but it's the only one truly worth walking. Real mastery has never been about accumulation. It's always been about integration. Do you want to remain just another expert, forgettable, replaceable, boxed into one role? Or are you ready to become someone impossible to ignore? Let me show you how it really begins. Every single time you learn something new, a tiny spark ignites inside your brain. You might not feel it. You might not even notice it, but it's there, quietly lighting up a part of your mind that was once in the dark. Now imagine this. What happens when you start collecting those sparks, when you gather them across different areas, across ideas, across disciplines? It's not just light anymore. It's an explosion, an eruption of mental connections that suddenly transforms how you see everything. And here's the magic of it all. When you begin to explore fields far outside your comfort zone, when you cross those invisible lines that most people are too afraid to cross, you create something far greater than a spark. You start building an inner network, a living, breathing mental system that never stops expanding. Your brain, yes, it's an incredible machine, but its real power doesn't lie in how much information it can store. Its true strength is transformation, turning raw knowledge into something alive, into ideas so powerful they can reshape reality. Every time you dare to step beyond what you know, every time you challenge your own boundaries, your brain undergoes a quiet revolution. New neural connections begin to form. You literally rewire your mind, opening unexpected paths to creative solutions you couldn't have imagined before. It's like stumbling upon a hidden door inside yourself, a passageway to bold new ideas, unseen insights, and radical innovation. Let me ask you something uncomfortable, because you need to hear it. How many times have you felt like you're just repeating the same things over and over again? Same tasks, same thoughts, same routines, monotonous, draining, empty. That feeling isn't a mystery. It's the consequence of being stuck in a loop of limited knowledge. And what's worse, most people's reaction to this is to dig even deeper into what they already know, to go further down the same path, thinking the solution is more of the same. But they're wrong, because doing more of what trapped you only tightens the cage. You don't need depth right now. You need width. You need fresh perspective. You need to breathe again. Picture your mind as a massive maze. You've been walking the same hallways for years, looking for something new, something meaningful. But you've already touched every wall. Every step feels familiar. Then one day, you step into a completely different maze, one you've never seen before. Suddenly, your senses heighten, your curiosity awakens, and the spark, it turns into fire. That fire burns away the old mental patterns. It makes space for a new way of thinking, not just psychologically, but biologically. Yes, your brain physically changes. It becomes stronger, more agile, faster, more capable of solving complex problems. And here's the deeper truth. The more you explore outward, the more you discover inward. That's right. The more subjects you learn, the more you start to meet. Ever wonder why so many people feel lost, like they're living without purpose? Because they've never stepped outside their maze. They've never questioned what they were told to pursue. They've never dared to ask, is this really what I want to know? Is this really who I am? You'll never discover your true self by only mastering what's easy for you. Self-knowledge is found in discomfort, in challenge, in the unfamiliar, in the questions that shake you. So hear this clearly. If you want to be truly free, you must lose your fear of being a beginner. Society taught you to be ashamed of not knowing, to fear the feeling of starting from zero, to hide when you don't have answers. But let me tell you something vital. Vulnerability is your greatest strength. The person who boldly accepts their own ignorance is the one who can learn anything. Pride, ego, and the fear of looking foolish. They're the chains. Let them go. Because when you do, there's no limit to what you can become. While most people are paralyzed by the fear of looking foolish, you, if you're bold, can use that same fear as fuel, a push, a compass pointing you to places others are too afraid to go. And in that space, uncharted and unpredictable, you gain the ultimate advantage. Because no one can anticipate a move that's never been made before. When you begin to master multiple disciplines, you're not just piling up random facts. You're crafting something far more valuable. Discernment, judgment, mental precision. You start developing a rare ability to know what matters and what doesn't, to separate noise from insight, to make decisions based on depth, not impulse. And do you know what happens then? You become unshakable, unmanipulable, unstoppable. Because no one can easily control someone who can think in layers, see in patterns, and understand from multiple vantage points, while narrowly focused experts claw to defend their single domain. You'll be hovering above the whole terrain, mapping out trends, identifying opportunities, making connections they'll never even see coming. Ask yourself a critical question. Why are so many people drowning in frustration and confusion, even though they live in the most information-rich era in human history? It's not because they lack access. It's because they never learn how to manage what they consume. They choose to absorb instead of analyze, to collect rather than connect, to memorize instead of synthesize. But you can't afford to be like them. You have to become a filter, not a sponge, a strategist, not just a student. Knowledge is not for decoration. It's a tool. It's fire, and you have to learn to wield it. To do that, you'll need a skill that's dangerously undervalued. Mental discipline, the power to control your focus, to resist distraction, to train your attention like a muscle, stronger, sharper, laser precise. Because let's face it, we're living in the age of superficiality, a mental plague that's consuming millions. One scroll, one like, one notification at a time. And now, here you are, at a crossroads. You can stay where it's safe, where it's familiar, where you repeat the same cycle, convincing yourself it's growth when it's just routine. Or you can leap into the unknown, into the vast, thrilling chaos of learning across disciplines. You can become something rare, something powerful, a polymath, someone who doesn't just know more, but who sees more, connects more, creates more. The choice is entirely yours. But never forget this. The easy road always leads to regret, because the people we remember are the ones who took the risk. So let me ask you, will you keep suppressing your potential? Or will you finally become someone the world cannot ignore? Now take a breath and picture this. What if you could go back 10 years and speak to your younger self? What would you say? You'd probably plead with them. Don't waste time. Don't play it safe. Learn more. Try more. Be bolder. Be braver. And yet, here you are now, still carrying the same hesitations, still standing in the same doubt. Do you see the paradox? We spend our whole lives giving advice to our past selves, but ignoring that exact wisdom in the present moment. That's how you end up with an illusion of progress, when in truth, you're stuck in a loop. You want to know why? Because we've been taught that learning is linear, that it moves in straight, predictable lines. First A, then B, then C. But real learning doesn't work that way. It spirals, it weaves, it returns, it connects wildly unexpected things. Imagine your knowledge as a giant unfinished puzzle. Each new subject you explore is a piece. At first, it won't seem to fit. It might feel random, disconnected, and most people, they give up. They toss it aside, but not polymaths. The ones who rise, the ones who innovate, they understand. No piece is ever useless. They keep every fragment, every scrap of knowledge, because they know, sooner or later, that odd forgotten piece will snap perfectly into place. And in that moment, the full picture becomes clear. Let me take you somewhere deeper, to a place very few dare to go. The fear of change. You know exactly what I mean, because you've felt it over and over again. That quiet fear of stepping away from what you already know, even when it's no longer serving you, even when it hurts. Why? Because it's familiar, because it's safe. This resistance, this hesitation, is perhaps the greatest barrier you'll ever face if you decide to become someone who masters multiple fields. Why is it so hard? Because to truly learn something radically new, you must first unlearn something old. And not just anything, something you once believed was you. A belief, an identity, a truth you've carried for years. And for most people, that's just too much. They'd rather cling to old errors than face the pain of admitting they were wrong all along. But here's the twist. True wisdom doesn't come from collecting certainties. It comes from accumulating doubts. The more willing you are to question yourself, the more open you are to real knowledge. Let me tell you something that almost no one will ever say about history's greatest minds. What made them truly remarkable wasn't just their intelligence or their talent. It was their boredom. Yes, you heard that right. They got bored quickly. Once they felt they had mastered something, they lost interest. They craved a new challenge, a new field, a new horizon. That restless impulse, that hunger for more, that is the engine of the polymath. It's what drives innovators to cross lines, to bend rules, to question what everyone else accepts. And while society may shame boredom, labeling it as distraction or disloyalty, the truth is the opposite. Boredom is your brain's way of saying, I am ready to evolve. So the next time you feel it, don't repress it. Don't scold yourself. Celebrate it, because it means you're on the edge of transformation. Now let's address one of the most common lies we tell ourselves. I don't have time to learn something new. You've heard it. You've probably said it. But here's the harsh reality. It's not about time. It's about priorities. Time will never appear magically. You have to steal it, borrow it, make room for it, intentionally. And ask yourself, where are you stealing time from right now? Chances are you're stealing it from your future self. From the version of you that could exist. If only you made time to invest in something truly different, something transformational. Now think about this. Most people spend hours every day consuming meaningless content, scrolling, watching, clicking. Then they say they have no time to learn, to read, to grow. This contradiction, this quiet hypocrisy, is exactly what keeps people stuck, while others move forward at full speed. Let me push this deeper. How much does your ego influence your resistance to learning? Ask yourself honestly, why do we love being the expert? Why do we resist starting from zero? Because being the expert makes us feel important, secure, valuable. But that comfort, that illusion of total mastery, is a trap. Because the more specialized you are in one thing, the more fragile you become when the rules change. And make no mistake, the rules always change. If your entire identity is built around one field, you become vulnerable the moment the world shifts. But when you let go of that ego, When you allow yourself to become a perpetual beginner, you gain something incredible: immunity to change. Because you stop resisting it, you become it. Now let's talk about the real reward of interdisciplinary learning. It's not just knowledge, it's vision. When you study across domains, you start seeing connections others miss. You begin to recognize patterns in what others call chaos. You see structure where others see confusion. You see meaning where others see noise. And that ability, that rare capacity to connect the dots, is your greatest competitive advantage. Now consider this. What do you think today's most successful companies, most visionary leaders, and most sought-after individuals are looking for? They're not just looking for traditional experts. They're looking for integrators, for connectors, for thinkers who break the mold. They want people who can take two seemingly unrelated ideas and fuse them into something the world has never seen. In other words, they're looking for polymaths, not people who just know a lot, but people who understand deeply, who see widely, who adapt constantly. And now comes the most beautiful truth of all. The more you master across disciplines, the more you explore new frontiers of knowledge, the more you start discovering pieces of yourself you never even knew existed. You see, it's not just hidden talents you'll uncover on this journey. It's hidden pieces of yourself, unseen passions, dormant desires, parts of you that have been waiting in silence to be awakened. Because true passion doesn't strike like lightning. It reveals itself slowly, only after you've given yourself the freedom to try, to explore, to fail, to stretch your mind in directions you never imagined. But to get there, you must first let go of the labels you've carried all your life. Right now, you stand at a crossroads. Two paths lie before you. One is safe, predictable, comfortable. You know it well, but it will never lead you to anything beyond what you already are. The other, it's uncertain, risky, and filled with unknowns, but it holds the key to discovering who else you could be, what else you could create, how much more you could become. And the choice is entirely yours. But remember this: the deepest regret in life doesn't come from trying and failing. It comes from never trying at all. And let me be honest, you will never forgive yourself for living a life limited by the fear of discovering who you might have been. Here we are, at the edge of a reality most people will never dare to face. The real tragedy isn't dying without achieving your goals. It's living your entire life without ever knowing what you were truly capable of. There's something soul-crushing about imagining all the versions of yourself that never got a chance to exist because you chose safety over potential, comfort over greatness, familiarity over freedom. But comfort is a liar. It doesn't protect you. It paralyzes you. It is the anesthesia fear uses to keep you still. Right now, at this very moment, you have a chance. An opportunity that may never knock again. The chance to decide who you want to become from this moment forward. It doesn't matter what you've been. It doesn't matter what story you've told yourself. Because the real story, it starts now, in this instant, in this breath, in this decision. And yes, it's tempting to believe that others had more luck, more talent, more opportunity. But here's the truth. The only difference between those who succeed and those who don't is that some decided to act, while others kept waiting. And the world, it won't wait for you. It moves, it shifts, it evolves. So ask yourself, will you be a passive witness to that change, or the one who creates it? Here's the brutal truth. people forget those who never dared to stand out, but they never forget those who left a mark, who connected ideas, knowledge, and actions in ways no one saw coming. Those are the people who move the world. Those are the ones who rewrite history, the ones who live in constant expansion, who challenge boundaries, who break paradigms. So now, what are you going to do? Because if you've come this far, you can no longer pretend you don't know what needs to be done. You've felt the pull of possibility. You've sensed the power inside you. You know the truth. And there's only one step left. Take it. Take the leap. A radical, irreversible decision to become someone who connects the unconnected, who sees the unseen, who dares to go where others never even glance. Let yourself become much more than just an isolated expert. Dare to become a polymath, a visionary, a trailblazer. Let your legacy be this: that you built bridges between worlds and created solutions so bold they could no longer be ignored. If you're still watching, it means you're ready. Ready to step into the person you were always meant to become. But hear me clearly, this is not the end. This is the beginning of a new life. A new path where you'll never see yourself or the world the same again. And trust me, you won't want to. If this message has stirred something inside you, if you feel like something just shifted forever, then join the movement. Subscribe, turn on notifications, be part of a growing community that's rewriting the rules of what learning means. And now, I want to invite you to do something personal, something powerful. Leave this phrase in the comments. Today, I decide to connect worlds. Write it, claim it, make it yours. Because every time you say it, you're reminding yourself that you'll never settle again. And remember this: the world doesn't belong to those who stay inside their limits. It belongs to those brave enough to break them. So don't wait. Not one more day. Not one more excuse. This is your moment. This is your signal. Take the first step. And I'll see you in the next video.